cases of the coronavirus have been cropping up inside Chinese prisons. So how many cases are there inside the prisons? Conflicting statements about when the turning point in the coronavirus outbreak is supposed to occur. The US announces more cases of the coronavirus, and the CDC today say a pandemic might be on the horizon. And Italy's 16 new coronavirus cases spark fear, while in Iran, the virus spreads to several cities.
Welcome to China in Focus. I'm your host, Tiffany Meyer. So what about cases of the coronavirus in prisons? On Friday, the person in China's Department of Justice who's responsible for the prisons confirmed there has been a big outbreak of the coronavirus.
全国共有湖北、山东、浙江3个省的5个监狱。
As of February 20th, 5 prisons in Hubei, Shandong, and Zhejiang provinces have confirmed cases of the coronavirus among prisoners. He said there are 230 confirmed cases in the women's prisons in Wuhan, 200 confirmed cases in the Renchen prison in Shandong province, 41 cases in another prison in Hubei province, 34 confirmed cases in Shilinfen prison in Zhejiang province, and 1 suspected case in a juvenile prison in Hubei province. According to a social media post, at least another prison in Shandong province also has cases of the coronavirus. Our reporter reached out to the prison and tried to find out the situation, but the prison employee didn't have an answer and said that was only something her boss could answer. And the latest figures released by the Chinese authorities on the coronavirus outbreak changed yet again. Yesterday, the number of cases from the day before were reduced after the criteria changed again. The adjustments in the data brought a lot of attention, and many people had doubts about the accuracy of the data. The deputy director of the Hubei Provincial Health Commission responded to those concerns today, saying the reduced numbers from the day before should be added back. And the number of new confirmed cases overall was decreasing for the past 16 days, but yesterday there was a sudden surge. Some people are wondering about these official figures as the situation seems to be getting worse and not better. So what's the reason behind the decreasing numbers? A hospital staff in Hubei province posted on WeChat saying, "We got a notice to change the confirmed cases according to clinical diagnosis to other pneumonia cases, so the number of confirmed cases will decrease." So what about the turning point in the coronavirus outbreak? When is the situation supposed to get better? There have been conflicting statements from the academic world. At the end of January, the director of the Chinese CDC said if current measures are adopted, the turning point should have come by February 8th or earlier. Meanwhile, one academic said on February 12th that the turning point in the coronavirus outbreak happened a week ago, on February 5th. He calculated that the number of cases had decreased over the past 6 days. But people are questioning why Wuhan is still building temporary hospitals if the turning point has already been reached. At the end of January, a member of the Academy of Engineering Science said the turning point would be in 20 to 30 days, which would mean about the end of February. On the other hand, an infectious disease expert said the epidemic is expected to end by April. This conflicts with other statements. Today, Chinese state TV quoted Chinese Communist leader Xi Jinping as saying at a Politburo meeting that the turning point of the coronavirus outbreak had not yet come about, and that the situation in Hubei province remains severe. Earlier this week, the mayor of Beijing's Shicheng district admitted there was a case among the district officials, confirmed days ago. It led to 69 people being quarantined. This is important because the central headquarters for the Communist Party of China and the State Council of China State Department and the Propaganda Department are located in the Shicheng district. And in the same district, in a residential building for employees of the Minister of Finance and their families, there was one confirmed case on February 19th. Citizens in Beijing have started to buy food in bulk to stock up. According to information on social media in China, Beijing authorities raised the city's warning level to the same as Wuhan, though we have not been able to independently verify this new warning level because of censorship. This Thursday, the head of Fuxing Hospital in Beijing announced 36 people tested positive in the hospital, among them 8 medical staff and 9 cleaners. The People's Hospital Beijing University has confirmed 3 cases, a mother, her daughter, and her son-in-law. On February 17th and 18th, the 3 were diagnosed with the coronavirus. Days later, on February 20th, the hospital announced the cases. The mother had been a patient in the hospital for months, and as a result, a great number of hospital staff have now been quarantined. And as to the official figures from China, experts believe the real number could be much higher. Something that was not made public by authorities, a social media post in China reveals the situation in the obstetrics and gynecology hospitals in Beijing's Shichen district. These 2 announcements at the entrance of a hospital said due to the outbreak, from February 18th onwards, obstetrics and gynecology departments of all hospitals in Shichen district will not accept new patients. Some of the hospitals may have resumed work. People are wondering what happens if you're pregnant. Where do you go? The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention offered a bleak update on the coronavirus situation today. Another 30 cases have appeared in the U.S., and health officials are preparing for it to become a pandemic.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is prepping for the worst. That's according to a telephone press briefing on Friday. Dr. Nancy Messonnier, the director of the CDC's National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Diseases, told reporters that while the virus isn't spreading throughout the United States,
it's very possible, even likely, that it may eventually happen.
So far, 34 confirmed cases have appeared in the U.S. She says the CDC's main goal is slowing the introduction of the virus into the country. Meanwhile, virus cases are popping up in previously untouched countries. The first case to be reported inside Israel appeared on Friday. 1 out of 11 Israelis who were flown home after being quarantined on the Diamond Princess cruise ship in Japan tested positive for the virus. Likewise, Lebanon's health minister announced the country's first case on Friday. A 45-year-old woman who reportedly arrived in the country on Thursday on a flight from Iran was confirmed to be infected. Another unlikely outcrop appeared in a tiny town in northern Italy. Italian officials closed schools, public buildings, restaurants, and coffee shops after 6 people tested positive, including some who had not been to China. The coronavirus erupted in China last December and has since spread to 29 other countries.
And an update on the Diamond Princess cruise ship's passengers. Following their evacuation last weekend, 4 more Americans have tested positive for the novel coronavirus. They are now on their way to the hospital for treatment.
According to the Department of Health and Human Services, another 4 Americans released from the Diamond Princess cruise ship have tested positive for the coronavirus. They were flown back to the U.S. over the weekend. Officials said on Thursday that the 4 passengers are now headed to a hospital in Spokane, Washington for treatment. This after being in quarantine with other American evacuees at Travis Air Force Base in California. When it docked in Japan, the Diamond Princess was put under quarantine, but more than 600 passengers and crew have been infected with the virus, which causes flu-like illness and can lead to pneumonia. Over 300 of the ship's passengers have been flown home on U.S. chartered airplanes. Most were placed in other military bases in California and Texas, while 13 high-risk passengers were transported to a specialist hospital in Omaha, Nebraska. 2 of them have now been cleared, but the other 11 are infected. Centers for Disease Control say test results from people who were on the Diamond Princess continue to trickle in from Japan, even after they return to the United States.
An outbreak of the coronavirus in northern Italy worsened today, with officials announcing 14 new confirmed cases in the wealthy region of Lombardy, while 2 cases were reported in the adjacent region of Veneto. Just hours after revealing that 6 people had come down with the virus in the first known cases of local transmission in Italy, officials said a further 8 had tested positive for the disease, including 5 health workers. 2 Chinese tourists who came from Wuhan tested positive in Rome in late January, while an Italian who returned from the Chinese city with a special flight repatriating some 56 nationals was hospitalized a week later. Iran's health ministry said today the coronavirus has spread to several Iranian cities. 2 more people have died from the virus.
Concern about coronavirus is increasingly evident on the streets of Tehran. Iran has confirmed 13 new cases. It brings the total in the country to at least 18, with 4 of the total having died.
The whole family was terrified. We cannot take our kids out of the house. We can't even get them to play somewhere.
The coronavirus has spread to several Iranian cities, a health ministry official said on Friday. The majority of cases in Iran have been in Qom, a Shiite Muslim holy city 120 kilometers south of the capital. The widening outbreak came as Iranians were voting in a parliamentary election. A first case of the virus was also confirmed in Lebanon on Friday after a woman arriving from Iran was found to be positive, according to hospital sources. The epidemic originated in China and has killed more than 2,100 people there.
Scuffles broke out between police and residents of a village in central Ukraine as they protested the arrival of a plane carrying evacuees from China's Hubei province. The protesters fear they could be infected with the coronavirus, despite authorities saying there's no danger.
Ukrainian residents clashed with police on Thursday, protesting against evacuees from China quarantined over the coronavirus from entering their town. Locals in Novi Sanzuri burned tires and hurled objects at buses carrying evacuees flown in from Hubei province, the center of the outbreak. They feared becoming infected with the virus despite authorities repeatedly insisting there was no danger. Protesters blocked a bridge to stop evacuees from entering, while hundreds of helmeted police and an armored military vehicle tried to keep order during the day-long standoff. Ukraine has no confirmed cases of coronavirus, and authorities say all passengers were twice screened before being allowed to enter. Ukraine has recently grappled with a measles epidemic, and the country's weak healthcare system and corruption have made mistrust of authority widespread.
And the U.S. today saying it expects China to honor their trade deal despite the virus outbreak. Meanwhile, China has said goods coming in and out this month will be hit, but they expect to open factories back up by the end of February.
The coronavirus has caused businesses to shutter, and some analysts expect China's growth to drop this first quarter but recover by the second. However, on Friday, the U.S. Treasury said it's too early to speculate and that it still expects China to honor its trade agreement over a period of time. Under the deal, China pledged to buy an additional $77 billion worth of goods in 2020 and $123 billion by 2021. But their commitment is one thing. The International Monetary Fund said this viral outbreak could drag down the global economy if it manages to spread to other countries. So to go over the virus's potential impacts, the U.S. Treasury Secretary will meet with senior finance officials and central bankers from G20 nations this weekend. However, China said this week that it won't send senior officials to the meeting because of the outbreak. The U.S. said lower-level officials will represent China instead.
Here at China in Focus, we bring you first-hand information from inside China. Don't forget to subscribe for the latest updates.